Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program Midday Discourse on Global Television. I am Samuel Odi. Many thanks for joining us this time. Today, we're looking at digital economy and its transition. We'll also look at the impact that it holds for Nigerian economy and the future. So, bring you up to speed. Stakeholders of the economic stakeholders and pillars of strong industry has put heads together and coming together to find out ways that the digitalization and transition of the economy globally is also going to help and as well as impact Nigerians' economy locally in terms of looking at the inflation rate and as well as every other sector in Nigerian economy and Nigerian business sector. So we'll be looking at those angles, in light with the court forming youth convention and as well as the conversation that will be going on in terms of economic digitalization. So all of this now we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program Midday Discuss. But before then, there are key questions that have been raised by lots of individuals. Key questions like what are the key drivers and obstacles in transitioning from a plan to a market-based economy. So all of these angles, questions from these angles will be asked, and then we are going to hopefully on this edition do justice to that, because I wouldn't be alone in the studio answering these questions and having today's edition of the program. So we are going to x-ray all of this. We are going to x-ray the economic transition and its impact of equality and social welfare, looking at it from the angle of the roles that institutions have to play in facilitating or hindering economic transition, as well as technology. Obviously, the world is revolving globally, technologically, and then we are also going to see how that is going to impact and advance and also have a very positive economic transition in Nigerian society. So all of these things are what we would be looking at on today's edition. We're going on a very quick break, and then when we return back, Midday Discourse continues. At that point, I'll introduce my guests to you. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is Midday Discourse on Global Television. My name is Samuel Odi. Yes, before we went on that quick break, I said I'll be introducing my guests who will help us x-ray all of these angles. And then he's right here seated with me, Honorable Olariwaju Desmond, founder and president of the Nigerian Nexus and co-convener Nigerian Youth Stakeholders Convention. Good afternoon, Honorable. Thank you so much for joining.
Good afternoon, Samuel, and good afternoon, Nigerians, and I'm pleased, happy to be with you in the studio.
Yeah, so now let's start. We're talking about looking at economic transition, right? So, what are the key drivers and obstacles, in transitioning from a planned economy to a market-based economy?
First of all, when you say economic transition, another word that people use for transition is transformation or movement or diversification. When you're moving from a particular known or a traditional kind of transacting and doing business to a new way of doing business. So it all depends on what particular transition are you talking about. Okay. So if it is digital transition, if it is, it depends on which area. If it is, so you can just put it in perspective because it is a whole lot of. I think from what I can see, you're talking about economic digitalization.
Yes.
So I believe that this afternoon we're going to make sense of digital transition or digitalization of our economy.
Yes.
Now, don't forget that the bedrock of every society is business. And if you look at the cradle days, from the day of barter, you find out that the essence of measurements or doing things as a human being is through transaction, business, working, and transacting with one another. So that is a traditional kind of settings. So economy is very, very important. Economic activities. Activities in the olden days has to do with agriculture. It has to do with commerce, buying and selling.
Yes.
And even though some of those early days, what they sell is they sell human beings. There are times that they sell human beings, slave trade. Yeah. And then all that represent what economy is. Yeah. And in different climes, different circles, they have their area of interest. Yeah. Like in this part of the world, we are people who have our heritage rooted in fishing, in farming, and artifacts, building artifacts, selling of artifacts, and the rest of them. But right now, we are talking about digitalization of this economy. So we can now look at the use of data processing machines like the computer. You talk about the internet and all that. Yes. And then you can't talk about digitalization without giving background, which is what? Which is the infrastructure. Yeah. You cannot talk about digitalization of our economy without talking about the role of accessibility to internet, and not just internet, access to computer, access to a phone that is wired with internet facilities and the rest of them. These are the base in which you can, so when you talk about this transition, you are now talking about moving your business from the traditional way to the more enabled technology, digital machines that can aid those kind of things you used to do before. So when you talk about this digital economy, you can talk about the social media, you can talk about cryptocurrency, that is virtual currency. It's a legal tender too, but it is virtual. Now, when you talk about this, you can also extend to talk about content creating. You talk about e-commerce. You must have heard about Amazon. You must have heard about GG. Then we'll talk about financial technology, fintech, that tends to bring solution to seamless way of transacting instead of the traditional banks that you know about UBA, you know about Access Bank. So we now have fintech, the one that is more popular among Nigerians. You can talk about Money Point. You can talk about Pampay, you talk about OPay, you can even talk about capital capital metrics. You know, these are fintech. They are bringing financial technology. Now, beyond that, you talk about robotic. You talk about artificial intelligence. You must have heard about ChatGPT. You must have heard about all these are, and the likes of the social media, the X. You talk about the WhatsApp. You talk about all these are the real or the new trend in our economy, because the coming of this thing has revolutionized the way we do business in Nigeria. In short, governments today are now even moving towards looking at reducing interference of human being in government activities, and using the likes of technology and using AI and robotic. If you go to some offices before, you know, you have to get somebody to mark attendance. Today, you don't need to mark attendance in offices again. All you just need to do is to what?
Clock in.
Is to clock in and clock out. So it is enormous. It's a huge opportunities that digitalization can bring to our world. And it can also bring solution to, and one important aspect of this digitalization is that it can capture everybody. Everybody can be included in that new world we are talking about, and that's the digital world. As long as you have access to the internet infrastructure, as well as you have access to computer, you have access. That is where people can be deprived. Where there are a lot of Nigerians today who are not even having access to internet. They do not have access to mobile phone, and these are the real deal. So once we talk about digital space, it gives everybody, irrespective of your qualification, irrespective of the background you have, irrespective of the education you have, you can actually feature in that new world of digital. But first thing first, you need infrastructure and you need access to gadgets.
Yes, access to gadgets. Okay, now looking at all these angles now that you've just mentioned, you know, how do the economic transition now impact equality and as well as social welfare? Because you made mention of even if you're not intelligent and you don't have all of that, you should be able to handle it. So in terms of handling stuff digitally now and talking about social welfare, how does this impact to the local man?
Well, it's two things you talked about, so we just have to put them in perspective.
Yes.
First of all, you talk about the society, the social man, me and you, and every one of us are a member of the society. Now, another thing is looking at how do you carve an inch for yourself. And you talked about whether you have the education or not. First of all, do not forget that all these things are technological innovations. And the essence of technology is to bring solution to our life. Today, I can decide that I want to do some business. All I just need to do is to prompt, you know, instruct my system and with the help of softwares that by 2 o'clock, do this for me. By 4 o'clock, do this for me. By 6 o'clock, do this for me. I've prompt, I've installed. It is going to do it for me at that time. Now, I do not need to kill myself. The reason why I said everybody can be captured in that word is that I don't need to be educated before I can deliver a speech. I don't need to be educated before I can write good speech, deliver good speech, know things. I don't need to go through all those stress anymore, because the essence of technology itself is to help you achieve that thing you have in your mind. Now, there are a lot of people who we call programmer. These people are doing different programs tailored to some of the things you do. Like if you see people that are doing AutoCAD, you know, there are softwares now that help them to sketch and to draw and all that. Beyond that, people who are doing arts, you know, that's why you have artists that can actually sketch out things with the help of computer. All you just need to do is what? To prompt. Tell the computer what I want. I want an image of a fat man sitting in a studio. This technology can deliver all that for you. So in this society, it depends on what you do. You know, in the society, we have those who are into engineering. We have those who are into maritime. We have those who are into accounting. We have those who are into football. We have those who are into medicine. And technology has provided a whole lot of solutions to capture different people in the society. So everybody can be on board. But first thing first, and that is what? Is the infrastructure. And that is the only way the common man can benefit from these gadgets.
Yes. Talking about infrastructure now, what do the governments are doing now to have this infrastructure structures in place, talking about the Ministry of Science and Technology, because obviously we can't talk about digitalization without mentioning the Ministry of Science and Tech as well as the Ministry of Finance as well. So what do you think these two agencies now are doing together to actualize this, and looking forward to looking at the global world now?
I think it's a collaborative work between the government and specific ministry, like Ministry of Communications, Ministry of Science and Tech Innovation Development,
Yes.
and maybe the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah.
But first of all, you need to know that the business of government in business is to provide framework. And thank God to Olusegun Obasanjo. I think it was during his era that we had the introduction to computerization and digital
Mobile
world.
phone and all.
Then, in 2002, 2001, that was when we have the introduction of 2G network provider coming into Nigeria, like Econet. After Econet, we have the MTN, we have the Globacom, V-Mobile, Vodafone, Starcoms, and the rest of them. Now, all these people, there are those who specialize in providing 2G network so that you can make call via the phones, and there are those who provide the 3G that you can help you to make some research,
Yes.
and all that. Before the coming of this new tech, Obasanjo has made effort to provide the framework. And it is the framework that was created then by the then President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, that motivated investors.
To come.
Government, like I told you, government cannot develop this infrastructure. The highest government can do is to create good policies that will make any investor in that sector thrive. And that is what government can do. To some extent, Nigeria government has done so well, but then there are a lot of challenges that is going on in the country which have affected every business, and that is what? The economic reality of the country. Owing to the first global economic meltdown during the time of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, when Okonjo-Iweala was then finance minister to this country, we had a trouble then. And what was the trouble? There was economic meltdown that affected Nigeria, and because we do not have enough reserve, to defend the naira against the dollar, ever since that time, since 2014 till date, the economy of Nigeria has been dwindling, and that has affected a lot of business
Yes.
and by extension affected the telecommunication world. As I tell you today, Starlink, you must have heard about Starlink.
Yes, Starlink, yes.
Starlink is owned by Elon Musk and the owner of X.
X, yes.
And they've been introduced into the Nigeria digital economy. And they are coming to Nigeria. They are coming as at the time when the local provider, network provider, internet provider, the MTN, the Glo, and other like Nicomsat and the rest of them who provided data.
Yes.
They're having issues presently because of exchange rates and the rest of them. So what government can do right now, because if you watch clearly, you will observe that in the last few months, we have been having glitches accessing internet. Even sometimes you have.
Slow.
Now, it is not air that is causing it. It is not spiritual. Whenever you try to make a call, when you're trying to make a call, you're trying to do some kind of business with your data, you want to watch a movie, you want to upload movie, you want to create something online, you want to do some research, and you're having challenges. It's not that it's not village people that is after you. It isn't village people. What happened is that there is a particular jeopardy, from the provider, and it has to do with infrastructure. And this thing costs money. And just about some few days ago, I heard these providers of these services complaining, lamenting seriously, and even scared that Starlink is coming with a lot of threats. And then a lot of people are not willing to make any tangible investment into strengthening their services, their network, and the rest of them. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that at this point that different businesses are having challenges. This is when I expected the government of the day would come in to help salvage the situation. Because imagine USSD like some of the, they have an association.
Yes.
And the president of the association lamented about 4 months ago that the USSD money that was supposed to be paid to them by the banks, despite many interventions by federal government till date, are yet to be paid. And these things are affecting the quality of service they are providing. And when they cannot provide the right services, it will be affecting the digitalization of our economy.
Okay, looking at infrastructure now, okay, what do you think now, or policies and regulations do you think the government can put in place for, infrastructure and then investors? Like you rightly mentioned earlier, that the government cannot by themselves handle digitalization and then the revamping, of the digital space and as well as the economy. Obviously, every economy and every nation needs business partners. So what policies and regulations do you think that the federal government would need to put in place to help, one, curb this high inflation rate and then the current dollar exchange, obviously, because that's not something that has been on the nick of time. Yes.
Samuel,
yes,
you need to understand that, like I told you earlier, Nigeria is going through its shared of the economic meltdown. It is not just Nigeria, it is the world.
Globally, yes.
Our successive governments have not put in place policies that should judiciously guide business today. And like I tell you, the country is currently undergoing certain economic crisis.
Yeah.
And as a result of this crisis, there is little or nothing that the government can do. Because already the government is faced with multi-dimensional problems. From conflict, from security problem, to political problem, economic problem, and now we are faced with banditry, kidnappings, and all that. And you are still faced with the issue of dollarization economy, the economy that is being dollarized. And then we don't print dollar here. How do you expect that the Naira will fight against the dollar? So I don't want, I know that before now, when Sanusi Lamido, when Soludo was there, they've tried different policies. They've tried to support the Naira. They tried to build the Naira by trying to, have different exchange rates for different purposes, like those who are going for medical tourism, importation of goods and items. But right now, when this president comes in, they realize that Nigeria is so broke. And the parties of trying to help to subsidize the dollar will not work. So they now have a single, they try to unify, and they clear example for those who are listening, who may not understand. I don't want to use any big terminologies that they will not understand. When they say we float the Naira, what does it mean? We mean that the Naira too, go into the market and fight for yourself. That is what it means. But before that time, the government had been supporting the Naira, bailing the Naira, giving the Naira back off from the foreign exchange that they get from crude oil. And even sometimes, to the later end of the President Muhammadu Buhari's regime, do you know that government of Nigeria still borrows money, to support the Naira, and that practice is not sustainable. Nigeria will only be heading to doom. So when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the incumbent president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, comes into power, the first thing he will do is to say we cannot continue with this practice. And then I understand with him, despite the fact that all these policies are not well thought, not well planned, because the urgency, of trying to make pronouncements for some of these policies are the reason why Nigeria is where we are today. Before you make certain policies, you must put certain things in place. The Nigerian government are yet to put the necessary infrastructure in place. And then they went ahead to declare subsidy removal, floating of your Naira. And that is why in the last 1 year and maybe 1 month or 2 months, the country has paid the biggest price. Even till now, despite series of intervention by the president, from fund, giving support to the state, giving what they call food, palliatives, giving palliative, giving fertilizer, it still couldn't hold the economy together. And then I can't advise at this point that the federal government should reverse this policy. No, we just have to work together as a people. And talking about this infrastructure, What government needs to do is that the little that is left, they should show probity and sincerity and be accountable in the management of this fund and ensure that those whose boss it is to do the right thing, continue doing the right thing. For example, the banks are owing these telecommunication companies their USSD money for many years and they have not paid. So government should intervene. Those are some of the things that the government can do. And another thing the government can do is in terms of investing in education. The government needs to invest more in training our young people. And thank God towards MIT program that the Minister of Tijani Bosun is doing now is a good one to empower and to see that our youths are given the opportunity. You know, one good thing about this digital economy is that it is also a way of generating foreign exchange. Yes. It is another way to generate foreign exchange. Do you know that any local knowledge you have right now, you can convert it through this digitalization to make money? It makes you, the digital world, expose you to a world. It brings closely to you the global village we are talking about. The global world we are talking about. When you say global world, global village, that means you can be doing business with somebody that is far away, Australia. Somebody that is in China, somebody that is in America, somebody that is in Cuba. You can have students that you'll be teaching Benin language from that place. You can have students that you'll be teaching Hausa language from Russia. You can have students that you can be teaching the Yoruba language from your house. That is the essence of digitalization of our economy. It exposes our young people to numerous opportunities. All that is needed for them is innovations because we are running a creation economy. The digital economy is a creation economy where the human power, you know, we always say that Nigerians are blessed with enormous human resources. Now, with these enormous human resources, the only way you can be translated into a result is to give them the necessary skills and access to internet. Access to computer, and you find out that, and electricity, another thing is electricity. You find out that the Nigerian young people will not need to depend on the government alone. Yes.
So we'll be going on a very, very quick break. So most of this innovation and infrastructure is something we are hoping would start from the grassroots, from the local government, primary schools, and then the younger generation will tend to grow into what, you know, innovations, the new innovations that has been going on. But we'll still come back and then extract other angles of the conversation. So do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Many thanks for staying with us and welcome back if you're just joining. Okay, we're having a conversation on how digitalization can impact Nigerian economy. And I have here with me in the studio Desmond Olarewaju. So, Mr. Desmond, how can economic transition now affect the labor market and employment structure in Nigeria?
You know, first we need to appreciate the fact that we are now in a digital world. And for you to thrive and survive in this digital world, you must access and equip yourself with digital skills. You need digital skills for you to make ends meet in this current digital world. And it can affect labor in the sense that when you have a large population of people who are deprived, you know, from internet knowledge, internet access, skills, you find out that since the coming of digitalization and transitioning the economy into digital, a lot of people are losing job. And also, so many more people are making ends meet. It's creating opportunity for some people, and it's shutting door for another people. The whole essence of digital economy or transition is not to render people useless. You can only become useless when you don't equip yourself with the right skills. I know people are scared. Computer is coming in to, you know, computer is coming in to make people, to render people jobless and all that. That is not the point. It can only render you jobless when you don't possess the right skills and the right knowledge. And that is why at this point, our children should be taught about coding. Children must learn how to write computer language to create solutions. And there is no end to programming. You know, you can keep solving problems. Time will come, you understand, that you don't need to leave your house. You can be sending your robot message and all that. And the first thing first, all Nigerian youths in primary school and secondary school, because they are going to be the leader for tomorrow. They are going to be the laborer for tomorrow. So right now, we need to strategically equip them with the necessary knowledge of computer and skills, so that as we are moving on this transition, as we are evolving into this transition economy, they have all the necessary skills to compete with anybody, anywhere, anytime in the world. And don't forget that there is a lot of resources, a lot of wealth that comes with this digital world. And so our youth can tap into that world if only we equip them with the right skills and the right knowledge. And you that is not a student, you need to know what the world is talking about. You need to know the trend in the way of which the world is going. And you need to tap into it. You need to update yourself. There was a wise man who says, a man who is not updated is outdated and is gradually moving into the state of what? Oblivion. You are dead while you are still alive. If you don't want to be dead while you are still alive, please, irrespective of your age, you need to pick these skills. You need to know how to use the computer. You need to know how to solve the internet. You need to know how to engage the AI and the robots.
So don't be analog. In a short term, that's what Honorable Desmond is saying. Don't be analog. Get yourself involved with the current trend and see how you develop yourself. So talking about the young ones now, you know, the Nigerian Youth Stakeholders Convention, its conversation is coming up, let's say in a couple of hours, and you're one of the co-conveners. How key is it that this conversation is happening now in the era of digitalization?
Thank you so much. Like you rightly said, I'm one of the co-convener of the Nigerian Youth Stakeholder Conversation that focuses on digital economy transition. You know, we are now trying to see how ready is Nigeria, you know, to compete favorably with the rest of the world. Because let me tell you, the early we position the over 75% of the country total population to tap into that digital world, the better for us as a country. You know, for many years we've been complaining of joblessness, lack of job opportunities and the rest of them. So the digital world that we are talking about is already existing. A lot of people are doing greatly. Nigerians are doing greatly in terms of coding, in terms of programming, in terms of building AI, in terms of solving solutions, robots and all that. But then there are certain regulations that the government needs to put in place. Because without regulation, instead of this effort to be productive, it will be counterproductive. And that is what we are doing as the Nigerian Youth Stakeholder Conversation. We are bringing together not just the tech enthusiasts, not just the youth. We are also bringing in why our target is the youth. at least 51% of the population we are expecting in that event is targeting at the young people. Okay. Also, we're also looking at the opportunity of bringing regulators. We're bringing regulators, so we are partnering strategically with the Ministry of Tech, Science and Tech Development. Yes. And then we're also bringing in the essay to the president on ICT. And also, we are partnering with SSA to the president on youth initiatives. And other sister organizations like biotechnology, you know, NITDA, and the rest of them. We are bringing everybody together and some lawmakers together. We now look at where we are. Look at the resources. Look at the talent. Look at the skills. Now, why is it that Nigeria cannot compete favorably, you know, building great softwares? Don't we have young people who are building softwares? The likes of softwares like e-commerce software, social media. We can do all that here in Nigeria. I have access to Nigerians who will come and showcase their skills there that they can build something that is better than X. They can build a software, a social media platform, a platform that is better than Facebook, a platform that is better than to go, a platform that is better than Instagram and the rest of them. But the question is, why is Nigeria not excelling? Why are they not making it?
Why do you think?
Why are they not making billions of dollars?
What do you think is the problem?
Regulations.
Okay.
And then the marketalization of Nigeria by some Nigerians, and then some wrong impression that Nigeria is given at the global market. Today, when you talk about Nigeria, the next thing that comes to your head is scammers. You know, we need to correct all that because we have great Nigerians that are doing greatly and supporting global economy. We have the likes of Ambassador Sowemimo Abiodun, who is the founder of Cyberpedia, Nairametrics. We have the likes of Adamu Garuba, who is the founder of CRO, you know, IPI. They are providing solutions. They even created their own email address. So they are no longer using, so we have local content. We have, if you go to the office of the Nigerian NITDA, they have a particular office where they are creating robots, building robots and all that. All these things are there. Why is government not making the right investment? Why are our Nigerian people not promoting this talent? So those are the challenges we have identified. And in the conference, we tend to bring solutions because we are bringing the innovations, we are bringing the regulators, we are bringing the players together to see. We're also bringing some embassies together so that they can see that Nigeria is not only associated with all the wrong information that is being given at different fora, locally and internationally. Nigeria is a great country with great people. People with intellectual prowess, technological savvy, people with integrity, people whose God has blessed with all the resources they needed. But then, because of demarketalization and international politics, Nigeria is not getting their fair sharing in the global economy. So what we are trying to do at the Nigerian Youth Stakeholder Conversation is to promote the Nigerian local content. And we can also prove it. We wanted to prove it during the event that these softwares, this technology, these bright minds can also compete with any innovations anywhere in the world. And then we can also use the opportunity to call on international organizations to support the Nigerian people and come to Nigeria and invest in our technology.
You know, looking at digitalization and, you know, support and this Nigerian Youth Stakeholders Conversation, how do you plan on reaching out to the grassroots from this outreach?
Thank you so much. One of the highlights of the Nigerian Youth Stakeholder Conversation is to publicly present a book we call Talent Rebuilt, Harnessing Nigerian Youth Internet Skills, you understand, for economic growth. You know, you need to understand that the Nigerian young people have so much skills, internet skills, and a lot of people have been using their skills to make money, some legitimately, some illegitimately. So what we are trying to do now is that we have to harness, and then when you harness, you have to bring together. You have to put what they call coordination to these skills. And then we now use these skills that the Nigerian youths has, and they have been using in the wrong way or in the bad way for national growth, national development. So how do we achieve that? After this program, because this event is packaged and partnered with Wafa Foundation, whose responsibility is to follow up post-event communique to see that it is being actualized to the later. So now we are now going back to the grassroots, where we begin to do this advocacy to ensure that because we are talking about not Abuja youth, we are talking about Nigerian youth. And the Nigerian society is divided into 774 local government.
Yes.
So we are targeting secondary school.
Okay.
We are targeting primary schools because we did a research. And in that research, we find out that there are so many Nigerian youth that are involved, that have these skills. Some of them are involved in cybercrime and the rest of them. It's because they just have this skill and it's wasting. You know, you cannot conserve energy. Energy that is conserved will be counterproductive. If you want your energy to be productive, you have to utilize them judiciously. So what we want to do with the Nigerian Youth Talent Reboots book that we are unveiling and presenting to the public is to go back to the grassroots, identify talents, those who can do a lot of magic on the internet, those who can hack, those who can code, those who can decode, those who can spam, those who can do anything. We are bringing them to see how we can partner with the necessary ministries to see that we use them for national growth. And that is what we are going to do at the end of this program, because the youths are very much important to us. And it's a huge asset for the Nigerian. If we start, you know, leadership must be deliberate. You have to think about the youth. You have to think about the future. You know, it's just that in this country we are rather reactionary instead of being proactive. So what we are trying to do as a civil society organization is to set the pace and muzzle support from partners and the government to see that we do the right thing always.
Global Television, hoping you'll come to get a partnership with Global Television so that all of that would happen. But still talking about digitalization and economy now, what are the challenges now and opportunities now that can be faced in terms of transitioning into a secular economy?
Thank you so much. There are a lot of, every good thing has its fair share of good and bad. Why we are advocating for us to tap into that world of digital economy. Seriously, it also poses a lot of danger to our life, our society, our way of doing things. Because most of the things that you see today, you wonder that some of your children, there are so many things they know that you don't even know. And you even be surprised that there are things that the children are doing, and there are some behavior, there are certain behavior that are depleting our value system. Our value system is being eroded today. It's not completely the fault of bad leaders. Sometimes it's because of what? Uncensored contents that find their ways to our minds in the society. And that's why there are some community in the world today that are highly conservative. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them because the internet is porous. The internet economy is porous. There is a lot of bad thing that is going on the internet. So it is important that what we do on the internet protect the integrity of the country. And the only way you can achieve that is through censoring and through also regulation. So I was happy when the FIRS boss last 2 weeks made mention that he actually organized a workshop for the National Assembly members. And he made mention this, that by the time the House is going to convene in September, one of the key areas the House needs to focus on is about regulating the digital space as well as the cryptocurrency. And because there is a lot of wealth, that is the future of the world. So we cannot afford to shun Nigeria or take Nigeria out of this economy because that is the future of economy. And it's going to have a devastating effect on our economy by the time Nigeria is not captured into that economy. So regulation is very important, it's very key. Whatsoever that we are doing at the level of digitalization, we must be able to censor and see how we can put the interests of the country forward. And that is as in terms of what? What about the opportunities? We need to look at the trends in the world today. Our syllabus, we need to look at our book today. We need to have just like maths and English is a compulsory prerequisite to get an admission into the university, and even in schools, it's a compulsory subject. So computer knowledge and robotic knowledge, AI skills should also be inculcated as a matter of fact, made to be important subject that our children from primary school, secondary school would access.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Desmond Olarewaju, for joining us on today's edition of the program. But before we draw the curtain on today's edition, what's your final take, and then what kind of policy do you think the government should put in place to help fast-track the revamping of the economy? First
of all, there are little things that government do that changes the whole situation, and that is what they call leadership.
Yes.
You see, they say anybody who wants to come to equity should at least come with a clean hand.
Yes.
You can't be calling on Nigerians to be patriotic when you are not transparent, when you are not supporting innovations in this country, when you still don't patronize Nigerian local content as a government. It will be difficult for you to call on the Nigerian people to be patriotic. It will be difficult, even when you find it easy to call. You find out that people learn by example. They watch what you do and they emulate. So the best policy that I think Nigeria needs to strengthen right now to improve our economy is to make it a matter of urgency that we need to strengthen local content.
Okay.
Local content in the sense that even some of the politics that we played in this part of the world is not good. We are not patriotic citizens, and that is why you see that some people will be citing flimsy excuses that the reason why they are not going to use innocent motto is because it belongs to a certain person, and when they empower that group, they will use it against the country. Flimsy excuses.
Yeah.
We need to be patriotic in this part of the world and ensure that we support innovations from Nigeria. And also, we need to be transparent in terms of running our governance. And we also need to be accountable to the people. Once we're able to put this together, any policy that you introduce that time will achieve its aim. Nigeria have one of the best policies in the world, but these policies are not translating into results because we still have problem with our value system. A lot of people are not patriotic. So my call on the Nigerian people is that I am patriotic. I am proud to say that I'm a patriotic Nigerian, and I want every one of us to see that we are all partners to the rebranding Nigerian project. There is the way Nigeria can work. If I don't contribute my quota, you do not contribute your quota, Nigeria will not work. It is not about the president. It is not about the leaders. Why the leaders are important instruments in shaping society, the followership too are very, very important, because the leadership, you see, is a reflection of the society. Therefore, I want to call on every one of us today, challenge yourself. Everybody will not change at once, but challenge yourself that you are going to set the pace for a new Nigeria, that value its people, that value life, and ready to sacrifice to make Nigeria great. Let's be patriotic, let's support the Nigerian project, and let's prioritize the local content. And by so doing, Nigeria will be great again, I'm certain.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Olarewaju Desmond, for joining us on today's edition of the program. We all need to be patriotic, and he rightly mentioned it's a teamwork, just like football. Everybody needs to play a role to be able to have the team win a game and as well defend their win. So let's all do our own quota from whatever organization or wherever we find ourselves to be able to have a great Nigeria. My name is Samuel Odi. I will see you tomorrow again for another exciting edition of the program. Bye for now.